Crazy, my mama say. Don't know why you're treating me this way. I thought by now I wouldn't have to worry about you. Now you're the bogey biker, and I don't know what to do.
It's day 4 of the new me here, hopefully temporary new me. I was able to close my eye last night and I didn't have to tape it shut, which seems to be progress to me.
Crazy, my daddy told me,
Won't try anything.
son, you remember learning right from wrong. Mama's crying in the kitchen, blaming it all on me, while I'm out here humming the bogey biker song. Crazy, my daughter screamed, Daddy, you promised me you wouldn't chase that dream. Now you're riding every day. Never thought I'd say that you're the bogey biker, and I guess you're here to stay. Yeah, honey, I'm the bogey biker, and you know I'm here to stay.
Y'all mind if we video y'all?
Go ahead.
It'll be on YouTube. I don't have to put.
That's how you fuck up.
Hey, and I can come show you how to do that.
Well, y'all have a good one.
Y'all too.
Hey, today's a nice day to ride.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, well, howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. My name's Jack, I'm the Bogey Biker. I appreciate you watching the last video. It actually comes out tomorrow, so I'll be curious to see what you all think. But here's a little bit of what's been going on with me. First of all, I'm fine. It probably seemed a little more dramatic than it maybe should have been, but I was a little unknown at the time what was happening. So when we got back from the camping trip and I got done filming, I went inside, and on the way home when we stopped to eat, I could tell something happened and it was getting worse. So I came home and I was trying to find every excuse in the world not to go to the emergency room, trying to justify what was going on. But my sister's an RN and my brother's a fireman and paramedic, and they're pretty sure it wasn't a stroke, even though I didn't see him but talked to him. But so I about decided to not go, and I got home and talked to a couple more people, and anyway, I began not being able to see out of my right eye, so I said, you know, I better go. So I go up to the ER and I walk in, and usually you sit there for an hour and they barely know you're there, but they saw me and got me right back, and about 10 doctors and nurses climbed all over me. They're not saying a word. They're hooking me up to EKGs and oxygen and IV, and they're not saying a word. And finally I said, what's going on? He said, we got to make sure you're not having a stroke or a heart attack. He said, and you're not. So it's actually a virus called Bell's palsy. I believe it's a virus. It's a conditioned virus caused by a virus, and where it's a nerve problem in the face. So it's much better today, even though I still look a little different, and I'm going to be fine. It's not extremely uncommon. So, but this week, you know, as I'm going through this process, I don't know, on day 2 or something, I couldn't really move much of my face, the right side of my face, for the first day or 2. And you saw some of that footage in the opening, but I was probably feeling sorry for myself a little bit. And, you know, I went riding one day, and then I called Jay and went over there, and, you know, thinking about this YouTube, like maybe I need to just stop doing this, because it's a little different when you deal with the public part of this, because, you know, what do you say? I would probably normally just hole up and not do anything. But he said, you know, the reason people are watching you is because you're honest, and so we ought to try to turn this into a positive. and maybe help some folks. And so really the overall point of this is, you know, don't ignore what's going on with you. And if you suspect something's happening, you know, go get it checked out. And there are some things that may be more likely to happen as a motorcycle rider to us that I'd like Jay to address. You know, because he sees a lot of stuff every day and what he does that I could never do.
Yeah, so I really wanted to talk about, as motorcyclists, there's going to be some basic first aid. In no way is this a comprehensive class. These are just some suggestions that I have. You know, as motorcyclists, we're out on the road, sometimes in groups with people. Often, you know, we're out in the elements, away from civilization or a hospital. So it's really about being prepared for what might happen. And there's a few things on trips and you know, on a motorcycle, obviously trauma is going to be one, but there's a few others. Stroke is another. And all these require pretty rapid intervention for you to be successful in helping somebody. And I think it's my responsibility to be prepared if something happens to you or anybody else we're riding with or anybody in the general public. We can't, you know, this is not an ambulance, and it's not a hospital certainly, but we can have some stuff with the right equipment and some minimal equipment and the knowledge. The basic knowledge, we can intervene and at least give somebody a chance. So,
I mean, had I been having a stroke, I would have been too late. You know, I ignored the signs. He used the term golden hour, which I'd never heard before, that I thought was cool.
Yeah, so if you think somebody's having a stroke or they're exhibiting signs of a stroke, meaning they have facial droop,
which I did.
It may or may not be a stroke, but if they have facial droop, if they have weakness in one side of their body, could be the left, could be the right. The way you can test for that is you can have them grab both your hands and squeeze as hard as you can. And if you notice they're squeezing hard and they're not squeezing at all on one side, that's a sign. If their face is drooping, that's a sign. The term golden hour means from the initial signs of stroke, they need to be in surgery within an hour. So the first step in all of this stuff is calling 911. Now, if you're somewhere where you don't have a signal, again, there's a lot of variables, but you need to call 911, get help on the way, and then you can start your interventions, and we'll go through that. For stroke, there's not a whole lot you can do as far as basic interventions.
You just got to get to call 911 and get there.
Yeah, call 911, get to the hospital for that. You know, anytime, if we're out like today, I don't know what it is, what temperature it is, but you know, you want to get, if you can, if you're waiting on an ambulance, you want to make them as comfortable as possible, meaning get in the shade, get in a cool environment, and we'll talk about that too with some other stuff. So, so for stroke, that's pretty much all you can do with what you have here. The other things I wanted to talk about were trauma, heart attack / cardiac arrest, allergic reactions. You know, somebody could have an allergic reaction out there, and heat exhaustion. I think those are the 5 things that we can do.
Let's start by showing what we have on the bikes.
Yeah.
And you have one over there too, but we got these from the law-abiding biker store. It's a motorcycle first aid kit, their recommended kit. Really nice.
Yeah. And so, and these are really great. These have everything you need really to assist if someone were involved in a trauma. I've added a couple things to mine just because, and I'll go over that. But what this comes with is a tourniquet. This is similar to a cat tourniquet, a combat tourniquet. I have a couple different ones. Also, this is a SAM tourniquet. You can look all this up. That's another thing. I'm going to give you some terms and some stuff that you can look up on YouTube. And if you want to complete your first aid kit, again, this is not a comprehensive class. I can't show you how to use all these things, but we can with the tourniquet.
on basically what to do. Again, you're all YouTube viewers, so YouTube's a great teaching tool. So look this stuff up if you have questions. But these tourniquets are basically the same.
You want to do my arm or
Yeah,
leg or-
yeah. So if you have a wound, now tourniquets are to be used on extremities only. I can't tourniquet my torso, my abdomen, or my chest, obviously, or my neck. So if you have a wound on an extremity, what you want to do is open the tourniquet up. You want to place it above the wound, and if it's close to the joint, you want to place it above the joint. You don't want to tourniquet a joint, okay? This one's a little bit different than that one, this SAM tourniquet.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
You get it, yeah, you get it above the wound. This one will click. When you hear it click,
Yeah.
then that's tight. This little
I don't know.
wand here is called a windlass.
But how? What do I?
Well, you got to loop it through the,
Oh.
yeah. Loop it through there.
And that goes on the outside, or?
It does, yeah, either way, yeah. And so you want to be above, again, above the wound. If it's by joint, above the joint. That one you want to tighten it as tight as you can, which you're not going to be doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
okay, and this windlass here, this is you got to get this as tight as you can, and then you start cranking on this windlass, and you're going to turn it until the bleeding stops. Okay. Once the bleeding is stopped, you're going to put it in the little keeper there, and this is for you to write the time on it.
Oh, you write the time when you did it.
Yeah, and these kits from Law Abiding Biker come with a Sharpie in there. Okay, the reason for that is the surgeons want to know how long that thing's been on there.
Yeah.
You know, they used to say that you couldn't leave a tourniquet on very long without losing the limb, and that's still possible.
Yeah.
But it's longer than they used to
Okay.
say. So, but it's important to write the time on there.
See, I had no idea. That's interesting.
Yeah, you know, and if it didn't stop the bleeding, you know, if you have, I would suggest you carrying at least a tourniquet, but you know, if you have a kit like this in all your vehicles, because you never know when this is gonna happen, right?
Yep.
So
Right.
you need to be prepared. It's like
Yep.
anything else. So now what this also comes with is some other stuff. There's a pressure dressing in here. I'm not going to unwrap that, but that's another thing you would want to get for your kid is a pressure dressing or an Israeli dressing. You can look that up on YouTube. It'll show you what it is and how to use it.
All this stuff. Look up. There are detailed, I'm sure, videos on all this stuff. So we're
Yeah.
not going into too much in depth. But
These little rapid. This one also has some packing gauze. You can get these little trauma kits here. You can get them on Amazon or wherever. That have, some people call it combat gauze or with quick clot. It's a gauze with a hemostatic agent in it. So if someone has a large wound, it's going to be in the junctional areas, neck, armpits, groin, stuff like that, or any wound on your extremities. You can't really do this for chest and abdomen stuff, but you're going to take that packing gauze, look up combat gauze, packing gauze, and there'll be demonstrations on how to do it. But you're going to take that gauze, you're going to find, if you can find the artery that's bleeding, you can put your finger in it. You're going to take that gauze and you're going to pack it in there. Pack it as tight as you can till you can't get any more in there. And then you can put a pressure dressing over the top of that, right?
no.
So in conjunction with the tourniquet and everything else, the goal is to stop the bleeding.
Right.
You only have so much blood in your body, so you got to stop it, right? Again, call 911 first,
Yeah.
and then start working on stopping the bleed.
Okay.
Some of that combat gauze will have, if you find some, it has a blue line in it, and what that is for is they can see it in an X-ray, so they know that it's in there. Because I mean, sometimes you got to pack it down in there deep.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the light blue line that's on.
Yeah, and these, you know, there's some other things you need that this kit comes with.
trauma shears, because you may have to cut some clothes away. Some tape. It's got some more gauze, triangle bandages, band-aids, stuff like that.
And we got this from the Law Abiding Biker Store. It's Ryan Erlacher YouTube channel. I'm sure all of you watch him. I'll link that down below. They've done some,
he's got a really.
They've done some extensive videos on what's actually in the kit. So
yeah.
Okay, allergic reaction when you're out.
Well, allergic reaction, yeah. If if somebody has a known allergy and they carry an EpiPen, that's a good thing to know. It's an epinephrine pen that you can use if they have an allergic reaction. Their airway starts to swell up, their face starts to swell up. That's an emergency, big time. So now, if you don't know you're allergic to something and this happens to you, nobody has an EpiPen. In my opinion, the next best thing is children's Benadryl. You can buy it at the grocery store. It's liquid, so it'll absorb faster. That may give you enough time to get an ambulance there or get to the hospital before your airway swells up. So carry some children's Benadryl with you. It's small. You know, all this stuff is, you know, you can't get a whole lot on these motorcycles, but you know, you certainly can get what you need.
Okay, what about when do you give CPR? How do you know when to give CPR, and then
Well, okay, so if somebody's, first of all, let's talk about heart attack and cardiac arrest, two different things. If somebody's having a heart attack, they could potentially go into cardiac arrest, meaning their heart's gonna stop or go into ventricular fibrillation, which means their heart's doing this and it's not beating. So if someone starts having chest pain on their left side, typically, if it radiates to their back or down their arm or up their neck, that's a pretty good sign of heart attack. Step one, call 911. If baby aspirin is another thing you should carry. If they're not allergic to it, now there are some people that are allergic to aspirin, so you have to ask that. You have to know that. Don't give anybody any medication without asking them if they're allergic to anything, if they're allergic to it, because you don't want to make the problem worse. But aspirin, so carry baby aspirin. Again, it absorbs faster, it's chewable, so it's going to absorb in your body faster than a Bayer aspirin. So carry a bottle of baby aspirin with you. They're 81 milligrams each. For adults, it's 4 of them. It's 324 milligrams is what you need to give them. The sooner you can do that, the better, if they're not allergic to it. So that's, you know, for heart attack. Now, cardiac arrest, if somebody just drops, there's a lot of reasons for that. We can typically recognize it, but you know, you check for a pulse and see if they're breathing. If you can't find a pulse, that's a pretty good indication, and they're unconscious. It's a pretty good indication that they're in cardiac arrest. And the best thing you do is start CPR immediately. The CPR saves that I've had, we were able to get there really fast and start CPR. Sometimes bystanders had started it, which helps. Now, when we talk about CPR they're teaching basically compression-only CPR, which means no mouth-to-mouth.
That's what I've heard, but I wasn't sure.
Well, a lot of times that, you know, it's not gonna be very effective. Number one, if somebody's in cardiac arrest, there's fluids involved. If they've got fluids coming out of their mouth and you're blowing them down into their lungs, that's not.
You just need to get the heart pumping.
Yeah, you need to, yeah. So you basically find in the center of your chest, below your sternum, there's a little pointy thing called the xiphoid process. Go 2 fingers above that. For males, you can just, basically it's the nipple line.
Yeah.
Okay, in the center of the chest. Get them flat on their back on a solid surface and interlock your hands like this, straight arm, and you need to get over the center of them and you need to compress, and you're gonna crack stuff. That means you're doing it right. But you have to do it hard, and you have to do it, it's 100 beats a minute.
What pace do you do it at?
Yeah, well, if you've watched The Office, you know that you do it to the tune of Staying Alive, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, Staying Alive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, a good trick is to pump to the tune of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Do you know that song?
Yes, I do. I love that song. First I was afraid, I was petrified.
No, it's Staying Alive.
Okay.
Every time I do CPR, that's in my head. I mean, it just is. So yeah, don't. And then again, somebody call 911 first.
Yeah.
And then you start CPR, and then you don't stop until the ambulance gets there.
Yeah.
Or in the unfortunate event, you're just wore out and you can't continue, and that does happen. If you're out remote and nobody's coming to help, then you do the best you can, and you know that's all you can do. So unfortunately, sometimes help is a long ways away.
Right.
So,
well, maybe having a little bit of education, you never know.
Yeah.
Be the
Again,
difference.
look all this stuff up. All this stuff is on YouTube. The last one I did want to talk about right now, especially this time of the year, is heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
You know, and dehydration. Dehydration. Some people think they're having a heart attack. Some people think they're having a stroke. When in reality, they're just hot and dehydrated, and they're, you know, they're in the middle of a heat stroke possibly. So, if you think somebody's having, another thing I would suggest you carrying is a little thermometer, just a little digital thermometer. I meant to put one in here. You can buy them anywhere. You think somebody's, if you don't have one, then if you think somebody's hot, treat them for this.
Yeah.
Meaning, you need to move them to a cool environment. You need to rapidly cool them with, if you have ice packs, wet towels, something like that. Get them out of the heat, get them into the cool, and then use what you have. If you're at, you know, go get bags of ice from the convenience store or on the side of the road, or whatever you have. If you're not somewhere like that, if you've got a cooler, use that. Put it in junctional areas, again, in the groin, in the armpits, over their torso, around their neck. It's you know, the quicker you can get them cool, the better off they're going to be. So we could also, I mean, one thing, if you know, when we're talking about trauma, because this kit comes with them, this is a triangular bandage. When it comes to trauma, we talk about broken bones and stuff, or separated shoulders and stuff. You can make a sling out of this. So look up how to make a sling with a triangular bandage. It's very simple. You tie a knot in the pointy end of the triangle, and then sling the arm. The knot goes here, and you can make a sling for that if somebody's just, you know, little
It's very
things.
simple for lieutenants in the fire department.
Well,
and instructors at the fire academy and paramedic school, or
I teach at the fire academy.
so-
I used to teach. I used to do some precept work
Yeah.
for EMT school and stuff. I don't do that anymore, but
yeah.
I've been doing it a long time, and you still have to refresh
Yeah.
yourself. You know, it's just like anything else.
Yeah.
It's like maintaining your motorcycle. You need to maintain it's important.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, the time to realize you don't know what to do is not when your buddy's laying on the pavement.
Especially the tourniquet. Like, I've had this, you know, I was responsible and bought this and have had this in my motorcycle and never taken the tourniquet out, and I would not have known how to use it.
Yeah.
Had something happen,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, because I didn't even make an attempt to do that. So
Yeah.
that's really the point of this, is I was laying in the ER room and they're climbing all over me. Again, I'm going to be fine. It ended up, it's not that big a deal permanently. I'm just going to look a little funny, see a crooked smile, and can't taste anything on my right side. But I was thinking, man, I'm glad I did this motorcycle stuff. This could be it. I could never ride a motorcycle again. This could be the end of that, and I'm glad I did it. But if I am able to, what are you going to do going forward? And after a few days of feeling sorry for myself, I thought, let's try to turn this into something positive. We've got, I mean, hell, more than half of the rusty bolts are current serving or retired firemen. And maybe we can help some people.
We're also all over 50 years old.
We're all over 50 years old, and we're all maybe overweight, some more than others. Yeah. And things happen. What you said the other day, we always talking about, you know, sometimes life can be tough, but we're really not talking about ourselves. We're talking about, you know, sometimes things happen to people, but then it does happen to you. Yeah. It seems like the older we get, the more stuff does. Yeah. So, yeah.
Just be prepared, you know.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself the best you can, and hope it never happens, but be prepared if it does.
Yeah. So Jay and I are going to go for a little ride. We got a family, it's Father's Day weekend actually tomorrow. We're doing a little early because he's got to work, and we're going to enjoy the day, go eat a little something, and then go spend some time with the family, which is what all this is about anyway. So stay tuned. Be safe. Okay, made it back. Hope y'all enjoyed that. I'm back in my recliner where I've been a big part of the week, just trying to rest. But I've also been going to the gym every day, as you saw in the beginning, and really just trying to do everything I can to prevent stuff like this from happening in the future. I tell you, when you're sitting there and you don't know you're having a stroke or what, it's sad that it takes things like this to sort of wake you up, but I'm just going to try to do a little better with my health every day. I've got a lot to live for. I'm a lucky guy. I still, I think, I'm sure you can see it's.
Look away, I'm hitting this.
It's much better today, and it's been gradually getting better. I've been doing acupuncture, which a week ago I'd have told you, no, that's stupid, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm trying to do everything I can. So it's hard to chew. It feels like the right half of my mouth is just burnt. Can't taste anything or feel anything. But I'm getting better where I can move my mouth and doing all these exercises. So I'm gonna keep on going. We got a few days before we leave for the Stubborn American Rally. So I hope to see some of you there. I'll be looking a little funny, a little funnier, but I'm a-going, and we're gonna have a great time. I hope you'll share this video. I think every biker, every person could see this, and again, go check out some of the more details about what we were talking about. But it's a lot of good information. Like I said, I've had that tourniquet, and I never took it out of the package, which shame on me. So, thanks again. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, honey, I'm the bogey biker, and you know I'm here to stay.